Development, April 20th, which is going to show about how to use simulations in the classroom. And in particular, this one is going to be a simulation of a model Congress. I'm going to cover here. The first one is to give you a little background on how Congress actually works and how you might simulate it rather than just make it, let's say, a majority vote. And particularly, this looks at the logic of committees and how committees actually change the outcome. Then I'm going to describe the activity, and the activity is simply going to be an allocation of a $100 budget among the members of the model Congress. And finally, I'm going to go over some of the rules for individual groups of players. So this is basically how a bill becomes a law in reality. This is a little more complicated than, let's say, the Schoolhouse Rock version, which a bill becomes a law and just gets voted between different houses of Congress. There are actually a lot of different stages in here, and a lot of this is committee work, which most people are not aware of. In addition, because of all these places, usually called veto points by political scientists, there's lots of different ways that a bill could die and not get adopted into law. And this diagram shows some of where those points are, and also where lobbyists have the most influence because they're off screen, their influence is not very clear, but because they know the legislative process, their way to stop legislation is quite significant. But however, on a theoretical level, this goes back to something called Arrow's impossibility theorem, which was developed by the economist Kenneth Arrow, who won the Nobel Prize back in the 1970s. And basically this shows that democracy is impossible whenever you have more than 3 choices and 3 voters, which is basically every single democracy, any single real democracy in the world. And particularly that whoever controls the order by which choices are considered controls the ultimate outcome. Therefore, if you have committees that can make the rules, they have a much more significant impact on the final outcome. So just by way of illustration, imagine we have 3 voters making a choice over 3 options. Say, for example, choosing ice cream for a faculty event. Our 3 voters are Alada, Bunin, and Coluca, and our 3 choices are vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. And each of this shows their preferences of the different choices. Eric prefers vanilla to chocolate, chocolate to strawberry. Scott prefers strawberry to vanilla, vanilla to chocolate, and Jess prefers chocolate to strawberry, strawberry to vanilla. Now, if you put this to a simple majority vote, what you're going to get is a 3-way tie, which means each gets 1 vote for their first preference. However, one way to break this is create a small tournament where you have 2 options that go against each other, and the winner of that goes against the third, and then whoever wins that is chosen as the ultimate the policy choice for the group. So if you have vanilla versus chocolate, it's very simple. Eric will vote vanilla as his first choice. It's not Scott's first choice, but he prefers vanilla to chocolate, so he's also going to give vanilla. Vanilla is going to get 2 of the 3 votes, and therefore go on to the next stage, where vanilla will go against strawberry. Here, you're going to see strawberry win because even though Eric had a first choice for vanilla, and a last choice for strawberry, Scott finally gets his first choice, and Jess prefers strawberry to vanilla, making strawberry the winner. This would be very simple, but if you change the order, it'll actually change the outcome. So instead of having vanilla versus chocolate for our first choice, imagine we had vanilla versus strawberry. In this case, strawberry gets 2 votes from Scott and Jess and goes against chocolate. Strawberry versus chocolate, chocolate becomes the winner. Now, nothing changed here about the preferences, but you got a different outcome by simply changing the order by which the preferences were considered. And to show you this is a general case, the last one, strawberry versus chocolate, chocolate would win this, and then it would be chocolate versus vanilla. We've already done this, and vanilla would be the ultimate winner. What this shows is that democracy is incoherent or impossible when you have 3 choices. If you want to look it up, you can see the mathematical proof. So this activity is going to show you a simple ordering of, let's say, the consideration. This basically mimics the process in the House of Representatives in the United States. The first thing is there'll be different pieces of legislation that will divide the $100 among the different members of the staff. The Rules Committee made of the Social Studies Department will allow to sign the rules. I'll get to that in a second. And there'll be 3 main committees made up the English, Math, and Science departments. They'll be able to consider and amend the bill. They'll report it to the Speaker, Angela, and she'll be able to decide whether the whole staff will be able to vote on this bill for adoption. Even after it's voted for adoption successfully, it will go to the Appropriations Committee, which will decide whether the bill will be funded or not. They can decide to reject that bill and basically win for themselves, and this leads to another different stage in the process. So some general rules. The first one is the activity is divide a $100 budget among the participants of the Model Congress. You can divide that amount in any way you choose, but obviously, to get it adopted, it doesn't have to be just the best bill for yourself. It has to be the best bill for a majority of the members, and therefore be able to elicit their votes. So, general rules. The first one is that all voting members, excluding the speaker, must remain seated for the entire activity at their committee tables. Secondly, we have two groups of lobbyists, good and evil lobbyists, who can move freely throughout the room but can't interfere with the work of committees. Finally, with the permission of the chair, and this is an exception to the first rule, is one member of the committee may leave the committee table to confer with any member, as long as the chair of the committee gives them permission to do so. So the first committee, and each of these committees has different rules, is the Rules Committee. This is basically why there's no filibusters in the House of Representatives, because every legislation is given, let's say, rules for how it should be decided. Therefore, it's impossible to constantly delay a piece of legislation from consideration. So the Rules Committee can do three things for each bill. They can decide which committee will consider the bill. Secondly, they can decide whether the bill can be amended or changed from its original. Lastly, they can decide what decision rule the committee can use to change the bill, whether they require a simple majority, meaning 50% plus one, a supermajority, 2/3 of the people in the committee, or it needs unanimous consent to be approved. The Rules Committee may not change the bill, nor they can refuse to consider the bill, which means they have to send the bill somewhere. It can't just, in a sense, be killed within their committee. The main work will be the Science, Math, and English committees. Any chair can refuse to consider a bill. So one person on each committee has been designated the chair. They can reject the bill and prevent the members of the committee from actually considering the bill. In addition, any committee, by a simple majority vote, can amend up to 10 scores, which means you can change the bill or change the allocation of dollars to any 10 members of the staff. When it will go to the speaker, and the speaker basically has one power. They can refuse to allow you, the staff, to vote on the bill. If they refuse to allow it to come to a vote, the bill will die and the bill will not be viable. Once a bill dies, it cannot be reconsidered. However, even if it gets the full vote, the Appropriations Committee can decide not to fund it. And they have some unique powers. Two groups of lobbyists, the good lobbyists who are on the side of getting things done, and the evil lobbyists who are going to try to prevent it from being done. The evil lobbyists are allowed to have 3 bribes. They can bribe any 3 voting members, but just to make this a little bit simpler, they can only bribe 2 members per committee, which means they can't bribe a whole committee, such as the Rules Committee or the Appropriations Committee. Any unindicted bribe member will receive $20 if no bill is adopted, which means if you take a bribe, you stand to have $20 as long as no bill is adopted by any time during the session. However, one bribe member will be randomly selected for indictment and they will forfeit their prize, which means there will only be 2 $20 prizes to bribe members. Finally, if the evil lobbyists are able to prevent you from adopting any bill, each evil lobbyist will receive $20 if no bill is adopted before the end of the session. However, you do have the good lobbyists. The good lobbyists will receive an equal share if any bill is adopted within the time frame, which means they just want to get a bill adopted. It doesn't matter what bill it is. However, they have no special powers except for their persuasive ability and to help you get the bill done. Well, that's it for now. Hopefully you'll enjoy this activity.